Biden's border crisis is only getting worse. A bombshell report dropping yesterday, leaked audio surfacing from Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas in a private meeting with Border Patrol agents. Mayorkas says the border crisis is unsustainable and we're going to lose as crossings reach a 21-year high. Here to discuss this is Mark Morgan. He's the former acting CBP commissioner and visiting fellow at the Heritage Foundation. Always good to see you, my friend. How damning is this, not just for Mayorkas, but also for the administration, when you consider they have spent months denying that there was any problem at all with what was occurring in broad daylight on the southern border?
Extremely. Look, as you just pointed out, for months, this administration has continued to spin, to misdirect, and frankly, lie to the American people. Picture after picture, video after video, as they try to continue to convince us that we're not seeing what we're seeing. And finally, we have the words coming from this secretary, not meant for the public or the media, but to the troops, where he actually admits that there's a crisis. It's absolutely hypocrisy at its best.
It's really crazy when you start talking about the millions of encounters we've had on the southern border. You're talking about, by all estimates, well over 300,000 gotaways on that southern border. How do we actually make sense of what those numbers mean, particularly in light of the fact that this is an administration that claims that COVID is their number one priority, while they allow people from places where COVID rates are high and vaccinations are low to stream across our border effectively unfettered?
You are spot on. Look, it's not just the numbers. We can't get overly focused on the numbers, as you suggest. Now, don't get me wrong. 212,000. That my research shows that's the second highest monthly total in our history. But it's also the demographics behind it. It's families and unaccompanied minors that this administration, even while we are navigating COVID and an increase in variants and COVID cases throughout this country, they're not even applying their own CDC Title 42 order to remove families. They're still releasing 80% of the families and all of the unaccompanied minors that come in. Cities like Laredo and McAllen, they're overwhelmed. McAllen just this past week said, hey, they've received 7,000 COVID-positive illegal aliens since February. Laredo now says, we're done. We're overwhelmed. We can't handle it. And what is this administration's response? Not to enforce their own CDC Title 42 order and remove COVID-positive illegal aliens. No, what are they going to do? They're just going to bust them and transport them further into our country without being tested. That's where we're at. It's absolutely defies common sense.
Well, to that point, you have an administration that is hell-bent on actually restricting the rights and liberties of Americans in the name of COVID, and yet at the same time, to your point, doesn't want to even have any sense of any restrictions on those people who are crossing our border actually in defiance of American law. Here's what Florida Governor Ron DeSantis had to say about that very fact.
Joe Biden has taken to himself to try to single out Florida over COVID. This is a guy who ran for president saying he was going to, quote, shut down the virus. And what has he done? He's imported more virus from around the world by having a wide open southern border.
So what do you take about that specific point? Again, the left always said it was President Trump and the right that politicized COVID, and yet you can't walk 2 feet in D.C. without hearing somebody from the Biden administration lay the entirety of the blame at the feet of some red state governor.
You're absolutely right. And Governor DeSantis is spot on. Look, right now, conservatively, this administration, between unaccompanied minors and families, has released, knowingly and intentionally, over 280,000 illegal aliens, knowing that a percentage of them, up to 15%, are positive COVID. Look, conservatively, that's about 40,000 positive COVID individuals that they've allowed into this country illegally. If you add in, as you mentioned earlier, the 300,000 gotaways, that's another 45,000. So conservatively, between 80 to 90,000 illegal aliens that are broken into our country have tested positive for COVID, and we're releasing them into the interior United States. And instead of stopping it, they're just pushing further into the interior United States to say, look, nothing to see here on the southwest border.
Where do we go from here? Because, again, at some point, we're sitting here banging our fists on the table. The numbers only go up. To your point, 210,000, that's the highest you've seen in the history of this nation by your estimates. It doesn't appear that us trying to raise the outrage is going to do anything. It's perhaps the only way this gets remedied is at the ballot box in November of 2022.
I think you're absolutely right. That's one issue. 2022 matters, and people have to continue to stay educated and pay attention. But what I'll say is we can't wait for them. We've got to take action now. And that's why it's so important for governors like Governor DeSantis in Florida and Governor Abbott in Texas, as well as states' AGs and state legislators to get involved to push back against this administration unconstitutional open border policies that are absolutely jeopardizing every aspect of our public health, our public safety, and our national security. States right now are our last line of defense. We need more of them to step up.
Absolutely. Mark Morgan, former acting CBP commissioner. God bless you, my friend. We'll talk to you again soon.
You too. Thanks as always.
Thanks for watching the Heritage Foundation's YouTube channel. With more than 500,000 members, we are the nation's largest conservative research and education institution. We believe the principles and ideas of the American founding are worth conserving and renewing. Please help us further our mission by subscribing to this channel and sharing our videos with your family and friends.